guys, it's April, and it's the first wrap-up of the year, and I am so stinking excited. Please excuse the weird nasal sound that is coming from my face. I don't know if you can hear it on film, but I can hear it in my head, and it's a little bit distracting. But I'm alive, and that's the important part. So this is my first wrap-up of 2019, which means this is the first 2 weeks of January. I'm gonna do things a little bit differently this year. I'm trying some new things. I don't know if I'm gonna stick to them. I also wanted to remind everyone before I get too far into my first part of January wrap-up that Shae and I have started a book club called Tell It Again. We will be having our first live show this last Saturday of January, which I believe is the 27th. I will leave all the information down below in case you are interested. We are going to be talking about Brightly Burning, and I hope that you will all be there because I'm super excited about this new book club. So for the first half of January, I have read 7 books, which totals 2,355 pages. I've been reading at about a pace of 76 pages a day, or about 4 days per book, something to that effect. I'm thinking that at the end of the month, I will have a cumulative total for the month and then a cumulative total for the whole year. I like seeing this on other people's channels, so I thought, why not try a spreadsheet, make fancy things. So here's my attempt at doing equations and coming up with numbers. But now I am going to stop talking and start talking about books. The first book I want to talk about is 1,000 White Women by Jim Fergus. This is the historical fiction account as if the government had promised the Indians 1,000 white women in exchange for 1,000 horses. This is the journal account of one of these such women. I was not entirely thrilled with this story. I don't know if Fergus intended it or not, but it came off a little bit male, even though it was told from a woman's perspective. There was a lot about sex, I will throw that out there, and it just seemed very disingenuous to the women of that time period. I also struggled picturing a woman in these circumstances actually stopping and writing all of this down and writing it down in the format that it was written down. The suspense of disbelief just wasn't there for me, and then there was just a little bit of the historical references that were way off if I want to nitpick. This is probably not something that I will recommend for most people to read because no. Of course, I picked up the next one in the Reckoner series, Firefight by Brandon Sanderson. I am hoping to finish this whole series this year because I have no shame about the fact that I love Brandon Sanderson. This is the second book in the Reckoner series. We have David continuing on his quest, helping to eliminate the epics and starting to dig into what epics are, what makes epics. We get a lot more of the backstory that goes on there. I can't tell you much more than that without giving spoilers for the first book, but I did enjoy the second one. There are some things that are starting to unfold that I am very curious how Sanderson is going to wrap all of this up because things could go very bad very quickly. I also picked up Fierce Fairytales by Nikita Gill. This is just a short story and poem collection that takes fairy tales and it flips it a little bit and it dives a little deeper into the psyche and maybe the reasons why some of these women did what they did. And it has a lot of female empowering moments and a lot of life lessons that I found very interesting. I really truly enjoyed it. I didn't know how much I would because sometimes fairy tale retellings that are short stories and poems like this I don't necessarily get. But I do like how she took some of those well-known fairy tales like Little Red Riding Hood, like Peter Pan, and she took the perspective of the women in those stories and what could be going on in their psyches as these stories are unfolding and what really made them make the choices that they do. And she also took some of the fairy tales and she flipped them a little bit. She gave them a little twist on the darker side and more of the human nature that I really like. I don't know why I am such a glutton for punishment and why I keep on picking up books about dogs because I ultimately know they were going to make me bawl like crazy. But my mom handed me A Dog's Purpose by W. Bruce Cameron, and this is the story about a dog who goes through several lives just trying to figure out their purpose and how all the human interactions interweave with that. And oh my gosh, I cried at so many different points in this book. There are just a lot of real things for me given how many dogs that have entered my life and just a lot of what I see while working at the shelter, and it broke me several different times. I highly recommend this for any dog lover. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the movie, mainly because I know the movie is probably going to have me bawling too, and I don't know if I want that in my life right now. And of course, because I can't stop there, I also picked up one of his other books, A Dog's Way Home, because, I don't know, I like doing this to myself, and also because my mom handed me this book too. This is the story about a dog who is basically, finding his way home. She gets separated from his boy, and she is just determined to get back to him. She goes through so many different adventures. This one didn't have me in tears quite as much as the other book did, but there were points where I'm like, if she does not make it out of this, even though I know she's gonna make it out of this, if she does not make it out of this, I'm gonna lose it. I don't, nope. I finally got around to The Evaporation of Space by Mary Weber. I got this book a while back. I don't know what was holding me back because it is the story of Sofi Snow, who is an online gamer who is indoctrinated into these games basically to make sure that her brother survives. But then her brother goes missing and she's blamed for a lot of things that are going on. There's alien races involved. She goes on this grand quest to try and get him back, and along the way discovers a few things that are going on that are just not cool at all. I do like how this online gaming world and this social structure is set up in this world. I am interested to see on where it goes in the next book. The unfortunate part for me though is there wasn't a lot to really truly grab my attention. I had to sit here and really think about what this book was about when I was trying to think about what I was gonna say for this video, which says something about a book. I do have the other book, so I will let you know. It could be the case where if this duology had actually been one book, it might have pulled me in a little bit more, but I don't know. We'll see. Finally, I picked up Artemis by Andy Weir. I have been on and off thinking about reading this book for a while because I absolutely love The Martian. There was something about that book that just grabbed me. This is the story of Jasmine, who lives on the lunar colony of Artemis. She's been living on this lunar colony since she was very young, so she considers it home. She is not the best of people. She has a little bit of an edge to her. She is basically a smuggler for people who want things on the moon that can't get them on the moon. And it's kind of hilarious, but this story centers around one such scheme that goes horribly, horribly wrong, and she's basically got to fix what she's messed up. Now, I did like the story. I struggled a little bit to get into Jasmine's character. I don't know if I liked how she was written. There was something a little bit off about her, but the whole story and the wit behind some of the conversations I did really like seeing. And the way Andy Weir imagined this whole lunar colony working, I thought was really, really fascinating. But the whole tie-in of what this story was trying to be, it felt like it went really, really fast. And maybe it's because I just wanted more from it. It was a short little episodic adventure. And maybe it's just because I've gotten so used to reading long series or long books that this felt really, really short to me. And I just wanted more. I am interested to see what Andy Weir does from here. I think I'm going to end with that. So those are the books that I have read so far in January. It's looking to be an interesting year. I'm super excited to see what happens. Tell me down below what your favorite cold remedy is because my face is just a beautiful mess right now. And I heart beautiful faces. Bye.